Hi there, everybody. Welcome to Global Education Study Abroad Virtual Expo. We're so excited to have you all joining us tonight with my esteemed colleague, Sam Micklewright. Sam is our colleague from UWE Bristol, UWE Bristol, and we're very excited to have a short presentation from him on this fantastic institution. I was actually in UWE in 2018 and absolutely fell in love with the student city, the artistic climate in the city, and all of the exciting new programs and facilities that they were building up for students. So Global Education is an education agency. We assist students with the start right up until the end of the application process for studying overseas. And we would be happy to assist you with your applications to the University of West England in Bristol. Yeah, enjoy, everybody. Thank you, Sam, for joining us. I will leave it up to you.
Perfect, thank you. Yeah, so just a quick introduction. I'm Sam Micklewright, Regional Manager for University of West of England. That's our long name. Our short name is UWE Bristol. I've been working at UWE for 4 to 5 years and have been traveling to Sub-Saharan Africa and South Africa and Zimbabwe and the other parts of SADC for the past 8 years, I want to say. So although I'm no expert, I've been doing the job for quite a long time, so happy to answer any general questions you have at the end of the presentation. So what I'm going to do to begin with is share my screen. I'm also going to turn off my video while I present, just to not do any distractions. Can you see my presentation? Is that all right?
Yeah, we're all good. Thanks,
all
Sam.
Good. Okay. Yeah. So this is actually quite a nice picture to start with. So this is probably like the joint famous landmark of the city of Bristol. So it's the Clifton Suspension Bridge, which you'll see on the left there, and then on the right is Clifton, which is quite a really nice area of Bristol. It's about 20-25 minutes away from our campus. And you do find a lot of students will live here throughout their years at university. Yeah, I just want to start with a general overview. I shouldn't start a presentation by apologizing, but I'm going to. All the stats that I've put on these slides were valid for 2021 or before. Yesterday, the new stats came out, all the new rankings, but it's not been updated on the presentation. So apologies, but it came out, it was bad timing when it came out yesterday. Basically, I didn't have enough time to update it. But if you talk to me after, I can always send you the new rankings by email. But yeah, we have 30,000 students enrolled, roughly, and that's over 3 campuses. 17% of our student body is international. I would say we're having quite a bumper year this year for students coming in September. So I would imagine after September, our international cohort will be probably more around 20%. We are based in the city of Bristol, which is in the southwest of the UK, really close to Wales, the other country. So in the Guardian Rankings 2021, we are ranked 21st out of 121 universities. In the 2021 England Student Satisfaction Survey, we were ranked 2nd. And then in the Times Higher Education University rankings for the whole world, we're in the top 500. We have 4 faculties. So we have Arts, Creative Industry and Education, Environment and Technology, Business and Law, and Health and Applied Sciences. Just to add a little caveat, in the next 6 months, some of the faculty names are changing. So you might not recognize the faculty names in 6 months' time compared to what I'm telling you today. But this is what we currently have today. We're not changing our courses or anything. We're just changing the names and the schools, basically. Yeah, so for the our first faculty, we are split into 3 schools. So we have Art and Design, Creative and Cultural Industries, and Education and Childhood. I've given a selection of courses on the right. This is not the full list of courses within this faculty, just a bit of a flavor for you. But things like drawing and print, fine art, BA animation is a really popular course for us. We have Aardvark Animations based in the city of Bristol, which is they're the animation company which are quite famous behind things like Wallace and Gromit and Shaun the Sheep. I'm not sure if that translates that well to Southern Africa, but it's a really popular animation film series and cartoon in the UK and Europe. Also well known for fashion textiles. By far the most popular course in our faculty is the MA Wildlife Filmmaking. We train a lot of the BBC and Channel 4 and a lot of professional wildlife filmmakers across the world come for our course. Always a very popular course. We then have environment and technology. And this is broken down into architecture and built environment, computer science and creative tech, engineering, design and mathematics, and geography and environmental management. So we have things like architecture, the MArch, which is the Masters of Architecture, product design, construction project management. We actually have 5 different undergraduate architecture degrees. Last year we were ranked 14th for architecture in the whole of the UK. The year before that we were ranked 6th. We generally, for architecture, we're generally in the top 15 every year. We just go from, 6th to 14th, and the rankings in between, it seems to change quite a lot each year, but we're always in the top 15. So if you're looking for architecture, we're quite an accessible school for that. Within our computer science and creative tech courses, things like computer science, games technology, audio and music technology, information technology. Games technology is quite a popular course for us. We're a PlayStation partner, so we can effectively design games for PlayStation, which is quite interesting. Not every university can do that. We have engineering, design and mathematics, whole suite of engineering courses. The B-Engine robotics is quite interesting. We have the Bristol Robotics Laboratory on our campus, which is the largest robotics laboratory in the whole of the EU, or the whole of Europe, sorry. And that's quite a popular course. We've actually had a couple of South Africans join us this September for that course, which is nice to see. The other interesting about engineering is that we opened a brand new engineering building April this year, so about 4 or 5 months ago. And that was, I think, a £55 million building. So state-of-the-art facilities, all brand new. So a lot of the students will really benefit from that on-campus teaching. Our September intake actually, I think, starts next week. So all of our UK and international students are arriving at the moment. And then lastly, we have geography and environmental management. So things like geography, architecture and planning, transport planning, civil engineering, project management, lots of different things within there. Third faculty is business and law, fairly self-explanatory. This is where all our business and law courses are. So we have things like international business, accounting, economics, business management and marketing. We have our LLBs, our law-based bachelor's degrees. We have our LLMs, which are law-based masters, MBA. We also have a whole host of top-up awards. So, for example, if you've done some sort of national diploma or higher national diploma in your country and you want to do a 1-year top-up degree that leads you to a degree at the end, we have a whole host of those, as you can see on the right. Then lastly, we have health and applied sciences. And that is split into four schools. So you have allied health professions, applied sciences, health and social sciences, and nursing and midwifery. Health and applied science courses. So 2 courses that are really popular, especially in South Africa. We always get at least 1 or 2 students every single year, is physiotherapy or occupational therapy, one of those 2 courses. We've recently started optometry, which is also becoming really popular. And our nursing as well is also very popular. But you also have things like psychology, paramedical science. And this health and applied sciences is based on our Glenside campus, which I'll get to. So we have a whole array of courses, which they're all practice-led courses. So what that means is that we try and get you to not just study from a book for 3 years or 1 year if you're doing a master's, but we actually want you doing real life work experience. And part of that comes from living in a city like Bristol, where we have good industry links within the city, and good work experience and job opportunities while you're in the city and studying. So a lot of our courses offer a thing called a sandwich year, which is where if you're doing undergraduate, you'll leave the university between your second and third year of study and work either in Bristol or somewhere else in the UK or anywhere in the world, really. And we try and help you find that. And we found that's been a really popular option for our undergrad students because of the industry links in Bristol. So, for example, a lot of our engineering students will do their sandwich year or their work experience at aerospace, which is, sorry, not aerospace, with Airbus, which is obviously the manufacturer of Airbus planes. And that's based in North Bristol, pretty close to the campus. A true selling point of UWE Bristol is actually the city itself, so Bristol. And this is a survey back in 2015. We're waiting for a new survey, but in 2015, over 50% of all students that studied in Bristol stayed in Bristol because they enjoyed it. And this is, you'll see the hot air balloons on this left picture. So in August, there's the Hot Air Balloon Festival, which is, you may not be interested in hot air balloons, but it's the largest hot air balloon festival in the whole of the world. And when you look at like the Bristol skyline when the festival's on, and you see 100 hot air balloons all up in the sky at one time, it's a pretty amazing thing to see. A bit more about Bristol as a city. It's roughly half a million people. Officially, our language is English, but we have 91 languages spoken. We have people from 180 different countries of birth. We have our own airport, which is Bristol Airport. Flies to 125 destinations. It doesn't fly to, for example, Johannesburg or Harare directly, but it flies to places like Paris, Brussels, Frankfurt, and then obviously you then go indirect. We're well known for our jobs in creative and digital industry. And also, I mentioned earlier, Airbus, we have 29,000 jobs roughly in aerospace. And that's to do with Airbus being based there. Wessex Helicopters, who create obviously helicopters, are also based in Bristol. And then we have roughly 50,000 plus student population in the city of Bristol because there's 2 universities. There's the University of Bristol and then the University of West of England, who I work for. We have 3 campuses. So we have Frenchay campus, which is at the top of your picture here. That's our main campus, our flagship campus, and that's for business, law, engineering, and science students. We then have GLENSIDE campus, which is our healthcare for our healthcare students. And then we have the city centre campus, bottom left, which actually is 3 different buildings, but they're grouped under city centre campus, city campus, basically. And that's Bower Ashton, Spike Island, and Arnold Feeney. Bower Ashton is an actual campus. Spike Island and Arnold Feeney are large buildings in the city centre. And the reason we had our art and design students study in the city centre is that it's just the centre of Bristol is just a very creative place. So it's nice for them to be around, I guess, the industry and the artwork they're trying to emulate or work for. This is Frenchay campus, a little bird's eye view of you. So it's quite a large campus. I'd say it will take about 20 minutes to walk from one side to the other. I mentioned earlier an engineering building, a brand new engineering building. That is number 5 on your screen, which is, I guess, middle top. So that's now complete. On this picture, it's construction, but that's now finished. Number 6 is the Faculty of Business and Law. That was a £55 million building that opened in 2019. So still relatively new in terms of university buildings. Number 10, apologies, is the University Enterprise Zone and Bristol Robotics Laboratory. So it's a massive building, really, really interesting there. You can get to go visit. The I in the middle is our information point, but that's also our library as well. And then anything that's labeled 1, so you've got stuff on the right, you've got stuff top left, is our student accommodation. And then lastly, we have our Centre for Sport, which is labeled number 9 on the right, which has your gym, your climbing walls, all your indoor courts and your outdoor courts. And then it's not on this aerial photo, but if you walk about 10 minutes south of this photo, you go to Hillside Gardens, which is our new sports complex, like mini stadium where we do rugby, football, American football, that sort of thing. Oh, apologies, my slides are just pausing. There we go. Have the city campus sites, as I said earlier. So you have Bower Ashton, bottom left, Spike Island, Arnolfini, and Watershed. So Watershed, Arnolfini, and Spike Island are all right in the centre of Bristol, and really, really interesting place to study, because that's, as I said, that's where all the creative industry is based in the city of Bristol. Then Bower Ashton is our campus, which is really, really serene, beautiful campus, because it backs onto Ashton Court Estate, which is a massive country estate with wild deer that roam through it. So you can have take some really interesting photos of wild deer while you're having your lunch break. I appreciate the wild deer probably isn't as exciting compared to some of the animals you might get in South Africa, but still, it's a pretty nice place to study when in the UK. And then Glenside campus, this is our health and allied profession campus. This is actually an old psychiatric hospital. Apparently it's got ghosts that haunt the halls, but you have to believe in that, I guess. But yeah, it's a beautiful old building. It's got stained glass windows, but it's been modernized inside. So even though it's a old, beautiful building on the outside, it's all modern and new on the inside. And we have skill simulation suites. So if you want to be like a nurse or paramedic science, paramedic student, or optometry or physio, we actually have these quite expensive £50,000 dummies that they pump blood. They've got bones that break, and they're as close as a human being as you can get them to be. Your teachers or lecturers can speak through them, so they've got mics and speakers, etc. So we try and get you practicing on a human, as close to a human as physically possible before you start doing your placements. And then we also opened our optometry suite a couple of years ago, and this is a fully working optometry, basically an eye clinic for not just students and staff, but also members of the public as well. So in your second and third year, if you're an optometry student, you will actually be in there either dispensing or doing the test. So I wear glasses. You might have noticed it on my video earlier, and I actually went and got fitted for glasses last year at UWE, and my eye test was done by 2 third-year students. So you actually get some real good hands-on experience at UWE. Next thing I just wanted to touch on is our sports packages at UWE Bristol. So although you are there for study, and that is your main priority, obviously you want to have some fun, play sports, or do hobbies and join clubs and activities. And we're quite proud to say that we have a thing called performance sport at UWE, which is where we effectively recruit student athletes to represent UWE Bristol, and as part of that you receive a student athlete package, which I'll get onto later. So we currently have 3 performance sports: American football, basketball, and squash. However, we will consider any student athlete who plays any sport within the BUCS framework. So for example, things like rugby, football, and netball, and I'll get onto that later. So the BUCS basically means it's the British University Championship. So the BUCS is the British University League that you play your sport in. So for example, rugby will have like 4 BUCS leagues. You'll have the Premiership, first, second, third league, etc., and so forth for other sports. And then when it comes to individual sports, it's just I guess individual rankings. These are all the sports in the current BUCS league. So you've got a whole host of things here. And we will consider applications for students athletes from any of these sports, with a slight caveat though. Although we'll accept applications, for example, snow sports, we have no dry ski slope. So, if you want to do snow sports at UWE, you're gonna have to travel quite far to the nearest ski slope. Things like that. So there's some things you need to take into account. We also don't have a swimming pool, but we do rent a swimming pool from in the city centre of Bristol. So we do have students that play water polo for us, for example, and do swim and represent the university. But yeah, as I put on the bottom right there, UWE only sport athletes where we can offer facilities and expertise in that sport. We've had it in the past where students have applied to us for a particular sport, like clay pigeon shooting, for example, but we have no coach for that. So it wouldn't be a good experience for the student if we supported them, even though we have no expertise in that sport. But definitely the more popular sports we have expertise in. The Performance Student Athlete Award, you get up to a 30% tuition fee discount every year of your study. You have free access to the UWE Bristol performance facilities. So we have one large gym for all students, and then we have a smaller gym which is exclusive just for our student athletes. We have free membership for the Team Builder Strength and Conditioning mobile app. So this is basically when you join your sport, you'll be given a strength and conditioning program, basically, which is then built into an app. So it means that you don't actually physically have to do it with someone watching you the whole time. You'll do it and then log it on the app. We then have performance staff that will help you with your strength and conditioning. We then have physiotherapy services as well, which you can access. And then we also, depending on the sport, we can offer free access to things like psychology, nutritionists, and performance lifestyle as well. So it's not a student athlete award that's perhaps what you'll see in America, where you cover all tuition fees, all housing, everything, complete free ride. We are definitely looking for students that actually want to study first, but also at the same time want to play quite a high level sport and represent the university. But the first thing you need to make sure is, are you qualified for your university degree? That's the first thing. Once you've actually applied and received an academic offer, you can then apply for the student athlete award. We have accommodation on campus, on all 3 campuses, and we guarantee accommodation for international students if they apply for a certain deadline, and that deadline is normally June the 8th. It's normally in June. It's normally June the 8th, but depending on what day of the week that is, obviously it might change to the 7th or the 9th, etc. For students from Southern Africa, you don't really have an excuse for not applying on time, because your results come out in January normally. So you already know if you're qualified academically before the accommodation deadline. The majority of the rooms on campus are private bedroom, private bathroom, shared living facilities like kitchen, living room. We have a whole team on campus called Global Student Support. So this is a new team that started a couple of years ago, and their sole responsibility is to look after students, international students, when they're on campus. So my role is to look after you before you arrive on campus. So obviously talk to you about UWE Bristol, assist with your application, help you gain an offer, support you in the visa application, etc., look at flights, that sort of thing. And then once you arrive on campus, or just prior to arriving on campus, you switch over to the Global Student Support team, and they'll arrange things like your airport pickup. They do meet and greet sessions with current international students. They do lots of social events, like day trips to London or Edinburgh, maybe not day trips, overnight trips, that sort of thing. Lots of social events. They also have drop-in spaces in their office. So if you just want to pop in, say hello, if you're feeling a bit stressed, need a bit more, I guess, nuanced support from staff members that are used to international students, you can drop in there. They also hold the Global and Conversation Cafes each week, which is where you can learn new languages off other students. We also run things like pre-sessional English courses and summer schools. And we also have a thing called peer assisted learning, which stands for PAL. Basically, PAL is where we will hire, the university employs current international students to look after future international students. We find that depending on perhaps a student's country or their culture, they're not confident talking to the lecturer directly, and perhaps would rather speak to one of their peers instead. So that's why we hire the PALs, the peer assisted learning. A little bit of fees and funding. So these are the fees for this year, as in September. We're currently updating our fees for next year, but it will be very, very similar. It won't be a big difference. So for international undergraduate, it's around £13,500 per year. For international postgraduate, it's £13,750 to £14,500, depending on the course. And for the MBA, it's 15,750. We have a number of academic scholarships. So for postgraduate, we have Chancellor's Millennium and Program Specific Scholarships, which range from a 50% discount all the way up to 100% discount, obviously quite competitive. And for undergraduate scholarship, I have my own scholarship pot, which I can talk to students about. And it might be because they've done really good academic grades. It could be they've written a brilliant personal statement, or they've done really good community work or brilliant work experience, lots of different things. And they range from about £1,000 to £3,000 off your first year tuition. In terms of applying, obviously Global Education will do your application on your behalf, which is really helpful of them and makes your life a lot easier. But just an overview of what is essentially needed. There's an online application which Global can do for you. Obviously, you'll have to provide them with, personal details, that sort of thing, what course you want to apply for, etc. A copy of your highest achieved school diploma or transcript. So if you're undergraduate, that could be your prelim results or your final grade results. If you're postgraduate, that could be your transcripts to date. We also want to know what subjects you've taken. So for example, if you're undergrad and you're applying for an engineering degree, we need to know that you're taking mathematics, for example. If you're applying for biomedical science, we need to make sure you're taking life sciences or biology or chemistry, for example. So we want to have a transcript of what subjects you're studying, prelims, grade results, or your current years to date if you're at university. You need to write a personal statement. This is basically, we ask for 1 page. I would suggest going no more than 1 page. If you've gone for more than 1 page, you're probably waffling. You need to be a bit more concise. We want to know why you want to study the course and why you want to study the university. As simple as that. And I'd recommend that you write a personal statement for the university you're actually applying for. Quite a number of times throughout the year, I read applications. It's clear to me that the student has used the same personal statement for every single university they've applied for, which can be quite disappointing to read. For some of our art and design courses, you'll need a portfolio, and that information is available online on the course pages. For undergrad applications, we need 1 reference. For postgraduate applications, we need 2 references. Undergrad reference, ideally your school counsellor or one of your teachers. Postgraduate references, that could be 1 academic, 1 from your work life, or a mixture of the 2. You need some sort of English language qualification. For the majority of Southern Africa, we accept your local high school. So for example, in South Africa, we accept your IEB or your NSC, English language grade 4 or above. In Zimbabwe, for example, we accept your Zimzek O-level English language grade C or above. And I could talk about other countries as well after if you ask me the questions. If you've not achieved that, you'll have to do an English language test like an IELTS or a Pearson, that sort of thing. We need information on any previous UK study and copies of any UK visas you've had, including visa refusals. If you've had a visa refusal in the past to the UK, it doesn't mean we won't give you an offer. It's just we need to know about it before issuing an offer, basically. And then lastly, just to meet the minimum entry requirements, which are all available on our country-specific pages, which I'll share at the end. This is my last slide. I just want to put up a few different things for you to have a look at in your own time. So it's called Virtual Bristol, and there's a tourism page for the city of Bristol called Visit Bristol. And because of COVID and the lack of travel, they started a thing called Bristol from Home, which is virtual tours basically of the city of Bristol and various things you can do there. So I'd definitely have a look at that. We also started a thing called UWE Wellbeing and Success online modules, which are all free modules you can do online, all to do with health and well-being. And we also run various webinars throughout the year. And I've left the link to our webinars page at the bottom there. Please have a look at that. We do subject-specific webinars. We do UWE overall webinars. We do accommodation webinars. We do sports webinars. We do webinars on lots of different topics. So some might interest you, some might not. You can sign up. If you can't attend it live, you'll be sent a pre-recorded version after. So definitely something to get involved in. And that's the end of my presentation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing, turn on my camera, and then answer any questions anyone's got.
Thanks, Sam. That was super informative, and it's so nice to see all the improvements already on such an amazing campus that UWE's made. I remember when I was there, UWE was still working on the engineering building, so I'm super excited to hear some feedback on that. I actually have some questions myself with regards to the delivery at the moment. So due to COVID and travel restrictions, students have been studying online. Are students able to study fully on campus at the moment, or is it still a dual delivery?
It's still a dual delivery, but the majority of it will be face-to-face.
Okay.
So where previously it was all online because of COVID, from this September onwards, it will be face-to-face with the minority of classes being online. So the majority will be face-to-face with the minority being online. And it'll be things like all of your smaller classes, like your seminars and your smaller lectures and your group work will be face-to-face. You'll find that some of your larger lectures, where it really depends on what course you're in. Like, for example, some of our business courses might have 200 students on a lecture, and you'll find that those will be online, but the majority of it will be face-to-face.
Okay, that's great. Thank you for that. We have a student here who'd like to ask some questions. Please type out your questions and I'd be happy to read them out and engage with them with Sam. Whilst you're typing them out, I have some more questions for you, Sam. I think something that stands out about UWE, as you mentioned in the presentation, is the city itself, and how many extracurricular activities there are available for students. So student life is fantastic. But post-studies, it's also really good to hear about the graduate opportunities and the way that you set up opportunities for students in terms of internships, the sandwich year, placements, things like that. Do you find those in every course?
So sandwich years won't be for every course, but they will be for a large majority, things like engineering, business, that sort of thing. But work experience is built into every single course at UWE. So there's always some working or practice-led or work experience element of every single course, basically. Things like allied health professions like physio, OT, nursing, optometry, that's just built into the course full stop. You're doing that from your first year. Things like law, you might be going to law courts in London or Manchester or Bristol and actually visiting court cases yourself and sitting in there. Things like business and engineering, you've got the opportunity to actually do sandwich years where you go away for a year and work in a local job in either in Bristol or anywhere in the world, really. We have a whole catalogue of employers that accept our students for sandwich years and internships. So you're more likely to apply to any of those. But at the same time, if you want to find your own job or your own industry somewhere else, anywhere in the world, as long as it's approved by your lecturer, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, basically, it needs to make sense to your course. You know,
Yeah.
if you're doing civil engineering and you've decided to do a sandwich year as a lifeguard, it makes no sense.
The possibilities are endless.
Yes.
So we have a student here who's asking if it's possible to apply for foundation year with IGCSE results by January 2022.
Okay, yeah, so that is possible, and it's through our partner college called UWE, which Global Education also work for. They have their own college on our French campus, and they accept IGCSEs for the foundation year. And yeah, starting in January. So that's completely possible. Yeah.
Great. And then just another question on that, the foundation. Does it have multiple entries throughout the year, or is January the main?
No, so yeah, the foundation it normally has September and January as the main intakes, with September being slightly larger.
Yeah.
And then you'll normally have a spring intake as well, which is April or May time.
Yeah.
And it all depends on your level of English language, actually.
Yes.
So generally speaking, you'll do a 3-term course for a foundation, but if you've got a higher level of English or a lower level of English, you could do a 2-term or a 4-term.
Great. Thank you. And then this is just a personal favorite question that I like to ask. I think students, especially coming from high school, are mostly aware of the, about 5 popular courses, engineering or medicine, accounting, law. And sometimes I think there are so many courses that are overlooked because students aren't aware of them. Are there any courses that you think maybe are underrated or exciting but silent? Any courses that you personally like that you'd like to tell students about?
Good question and putting me on the spot, but
When I was there, I was quite taken aback by the robotics department.
yeah, I was going to say I mentioned it earlier, but definitely the robotics. I've been to the robotics lab, and some of the stuff they're doing is pretty amazing. So they're doing self-driving cars, which probably isn't exciting anymore, as we've seen those for the last few years, and perhaps some of you have Teslas, I don't know. But they're working on care robots with AI. So those are robots that will potentially look after people with dementia and things like that.
Wow.
The one thing that really excited me was I don't know the correct terminology of it, but they're effectively doing swarm or nano robots. So if, the idea is that you have, say, 500 to 1,000 coin-sized robots that can all move together and do swarm-like activity. And the
Wow.
idea is that if you
Sounds
get
like
that,
something out of a movie.
yeah, precisely. It's a long way off, but the idea is that if you get that small enough, you could potentially, inject that into a human to target a certain cell or go into the ground to target something in the ground, that sort of thing. So the idea is to get it as small as possible for certain applications. So
Wow, very
robotics is
futuristic.
one that really interests me. I really love product design. I find that's quite an interesting one. I love walking through R Block, which hosts our architecture and design students. The reason I like walking through those because the whole building is basically like a pin-up board, so people pin up their work just in like the hallways and the corridors and the rooms, and you see what students are doing. But it's really interesting that I think some students think, oh, product design, it's just, I don't know, designing a cereal box, for example.
Yeah.
But like students are building wheelchairs, advanced wheelchairs. They're building like sunglasses that have speakers built into them for deaf people and have motion sensors. They're building really, really interesting design and product design. So I really enjoyed that course.
It's like an inventor's paradise.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and obviously because they may not have the engineering knowledge, the product designers, but obviously that's for the engineers to do it. So they dream all the big ideas and then go to the engineers.
Yeah.
A bit like the same as being an architect. If you're an architect, you design these beautiful houses, and then you go to a structural engineer and say, "Can this actually be built?"
Yeah,
it's quite nice.
I love the collaboration.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
And then I think lastly, I enjoy all of our allied health professions. This may sound a bit boring, but they're really tried and tested and have a really clear career path. So if you want to study physiotherapy, you become a physiotherapist. Simple as that. It's a really straightforward way of getting into a good career. Same with optometry, occupational therapy, and nursing and things like that. I don't know. I think it's just for a student that perhaps knows precisely what they want to do. It's a really straight down the line course.
Great, thank you. I love asking those questions because sometimes these different courses can be overlooked. So thanks for that feedback. It's great. Student is asking which day of January is he supposed to send the application. So I would advise that he give us a call. Send us an email. You see our details on the screen here, and we can go through application with you, depending on when you're finishing your course, when you're going to receive your academic transcript, and we can work with you and guide you as to when we can start the application. And we'll be in touch with Sam here regarding your application, just to make sure that everything is in line and in order for you, hopefully, to get an offer.
And personally, I would apply now for January. I wouldn't wait till January.
Yeah.
And you can. I don't know where you're at with your GCSEs, whether you finished or not, but we'll be able to send you a conditional offer. So it'll be conditional. The conditions will be you finishing your academic grades, basically.
Yeah. it's better to start early.
Yeah, definitely.
Great. Thank you. And yeah, thank you, Sam. This has been super informative and super exciting to hear about UWE and some great courses and some courses that I think everybody will be going to check out now, apart from the medicine and the engineering, you know, something different.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And yeah, we'll be in touch. And for everybody who's joined, thank you for joining us today. And if you have any questions, please feel free to get in touch with us.
All right. Thanks very much. Thanks for having me.
Great. Thank you. Bye, everyone.